Show your support for your favorite pro wrestling podcast that is by wrestling fans for wrestling fans. Donate to the Power of Pro Wrestling podcast today on Streamlabs. Link is in the description below. This is the Power of Pro Wrestling, a podcast by wrestling fans for wrestling fans. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show. Welcome to this very special year-end edition of the Power of Pro Wrestling podcast. This is your host, Robert Red.
And I'm Chris Heineken. We are right here. This is the only podcast you need to be investing into and listening to. And while we're at the subject, find us right here, Shout Engine, iTunes, Google Play. This is the Power of Pro Wrestling podcast, as he said, and we have a whole lot to get to as far as our picks for 2017 matches of the year, or our special moments in this case. Also, predictions for the future 2018 in the world of WWE and professional wrestling as a whole. But first, we have ourselves a little bit of a loss in the shuffle case, if you want to call it that.
Well, that is true. For most of this episode, we're going to talk about the good of wrestling in 2017. Like, our next segment is the matches of the year, and then we're going to give our future predictions for the companies. But we're going to look at in this first segment at some of the bad of the year. We're going to look at who had the worst 2017 in WWE.
This should be interesting.
Hey, so it's going to be between Mr. Eater of Worlds, Bray Wyatt, and the Demon King, Finn Balor. So,
absolutely.
Cornbread, the rules of the debate goes, you have 2 minutes to present your case, I have 2 minutes to present mine, and you, the audience, will be able to vote at the end of the episode on my Twitter page, which we'll give at the end of the episode. So, take it away and present your argument. Cornbread, you have 2 minutes.
The worst. Normally, either it would be Finn Balor or Bray Wyatt. They both had bad years, but I will have to say Bray Wyatt in this case. Even though he's ended the year closer to somewhat going in the right direction with the recently woken Matt Hardy, he's been the ultimate loss in the shuffle. Let's just say, wins the WWE Championship at Elimination Chamber 1 month later, or at least a month later, I believe, at WrestleMania, lost it in very confusing fashion to Randy Orton, was scheduled to have a rematch for the championship, was already hyped. And then 1 hour before the pay-per-view goes on the air, you strip him of his championship rematch, but decide to give him another clause instead. And then he's been falling flat, and flat. Whether it's the unmasking of Goldust as Dustin Rhodes, or whether it's just complete flatness, whether it's Elias or whether it's all the other guys. He really has not been in quote-unquote a championship setting to where he can succeed. He's had the bad. I mean, I would have picked Finn Balor in this case, but I have to go with Bray Wyatt in this case. I mean, even though he's closing the year, at least would have woken Matt Hardy. Hopefully they wake him up, but to me, even a slight edge over Finn Balor, it has to be Bray Wyatt.
Well, you did present a good case, but I think with you and everyone who voted in the poll who voted for Bray Wyatt are extremely 100% wrong. Finn Balor had a much worse 2017 than Bray Wyatt, and I will tell you why. He started off the year injured, and he wasn't in competition, appeared on TV until the night after WrestleMania, which is about 4 months into the year. So he only had 8 months in the year. So that trumps any bad thing that happened to Bray Wyatt. But he comes back, and yeah, he has a pretty good return match on TV. He goes into the Extreme Rules 5-way to determine the number one contender. Doesn't win that. He gets choked out by Samoa Joe, and Samoa Joe gets to go on to the aptly named Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view, which, ironically enough, that was a good match. And
good
then
match, horrible pay-per-view.
He's stuck in the year, most of the year, with your guy, Bray Wyatt, in a horrible feud. feud, which
went nowhere.
Yeah, it went nowhere. It was confusing feud. Now, we can thank the viral meningitis or whatever outbreak for saving his match at TLC, or we would have had this feud continue going on much longer. And we got, Finn Balor did have a good match with AJ Styles. But still, with that terrible feud, and I forgot to mention the whole Elias thing. He had a brief feud with Elias, which was interrupted by Bray Wyatt. But here's the thing why Balor had a worse year. Bray Wyatt got to be WWE champion this year. He had an excellent match on SmackDown following in Elimination Chamber after winning the match. He got to wrestle in WrestleMania with the WWE Championship. So that also means that Finn Balor had a worse year. And to close this out, Finn Balor is ended 2017 directionless. Now, it seems like they're going to give him some direction here in 2018, but at least with Bray Wyatt, he has direction with Woken Matt Hardy. Finn Balor has been fighting the Mizraj jobbers and having no direction. At least Bray Wyatt's career is being rehabbed with Woken Matt Hardy. He went into WrestleMania as WWE champion. He won the title this year. Finn Balor has done none of those accolades. So Finn Balor clearly had a worse year than Bray Wyatt. So I don't know what you people were voting on, but Finn Balor has been treated miserably in 2017. Let's hope 2018 holds a better year for Finn Balor.
Well, let's be real. Did you forget one of those good matches that Finn Balor had? And that was the number one contendership for the Intercontinental Championship, which was the only good match on Monday Night Raw.
Well, you had that stuff sprinkled in, but you got to realize, Bray holding the title going into WrestleMania, that's a lot better than what Finn Balor did this year. Finn Balor didn't even win the Universal title. He waited an entire year still to get his rematch for the Universal title, which he had to relinquish back in 2016, and it doesn't seem like he's getting that. So, Finn Balor has been treated a lot worse than Bray Wyatt ever was in 2017.
Well, the only way to really, really figure out who really had the worst 2017 between Bray and Finn is you, the audience. You're the ones that get to vote. Who really won this deal, and what do you think? Do you really think that Bray had the worst of 2017 or Balor had the worst 17? You decide. And when we come back, you'll love some of our picks for some of the best and this time the best moments of 2017.
Okay, guys, so stay tuned. We'll be back right after this.
This is Amber.
And this is Amanda. And you're listening to the Power of Pro Wrestling Podcast.
Welcome back to the show. It's now time for our top 5 favorite moments or matches from 2017. And so these are going to be in no particular order per se, but we're going to give our top 5 moments or matches of 2017. So we're going to start with you, Cornbread. What was one of your favorite matches, moments of 2017?
Well, normally I kind of rank this list, the list I did, I kind of rank it anywhere from 5 to 1. And the reason why 2017 was probably the most interesting year for my top 5 is because you had a blend of everything. And this is why I'm going to go number 5. Normally, I would be Lucha Underground on this number 5. But because of the significance of this match, this supersedes Lucha Underground. And it takes me to Triple Mania 25, the main event. And I'm not talking the triple ladder match with Mundo, Fantasma, and Tejano, which was excellent, by the way. I'm going the main event, the closing main event. Whole lot at stake. Hair versus hair. Dr. Wagner Jr. versus Psycho Clown. The reason why this ends up making this list over Lucha Underground is because of the significance of the two families and what literally drew over 25,000 people into the arena in Mexico for Triple Mania 25 pay-per-view. This right here was the benchmark of emotional hair matches. Even I was crying while watching this match because no kid really wants to see either man's father or grandfather unmasked. It was the emotional investment into this match. It ended up being one of the top matches of the year. So I'm going Triple Mania 25 as my number 5 pick. Psycho Clown, who ended up defeating Dr. Wagner Jr. And it was one of the most emotional scenes ever. that's one of my picks. You got some picks along, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Let's hear it.
I've not necessarily ranked mine, but if I did rank them, this would probably be my number 5 match, and it is from SummerSlam of 2017, and it is for the Raw Tag Team titles that were between the Shield and the Bar. Now, on WWE.com, the top 25 matches of 2017, they put their No Mercy match, but I picked their SummerSlam match because I tried to go back and watch a little bit of them.
Right.
The SummerSlam match I felt was a much better match between the two, and the story going in was the reuniting of Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, which you remembered in 2014 on June 2nd, you had the infamous Seth Rollins stabbing the Shield in the back.
Right.
So,
which led to one of the greatest years in Seth Rollins' career and a rebound year for WWE, if you really, really think about it.
Yeah, that's true.
Continue.
But like I said, I picked this match because of the story going into it of the reuniting of the Shield. And this match was a lot better from beginning to end. The No Mercy match was good because you had the Cesaro kind of interrupting the taking the slingshot into the turnpost and getting his teeth knocked inside of his jaw or his mouth.
Yeah, very gory moment, but
and then,
no day in the office.
Yeah, and with that, I mean, that pretty much the end of that match was what was good. I felt the SummerSlam match was just a better match. The story going into it with Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose reuniting, I felt was strong because all they were really doing were trying to defend the tag titles. The story wasn't, I feel, as strong going into No Mercy, and I don't feel the match going into No Mercy, or No Mercy Mania, I should say, was as strong as the story and the match going into SummerSlam. So that is one of my top 5 matches of the year for this past year.
But you have to give some credit to WWE Brass for the fact that instead of, yes, they checked on Cesaro majority of those times, even when he lost his teeth, but you have to give props to WWE Brass for literally not stopping the match, and the match ended up being a lot better. But I'm kind of with you on that one. That was one of their best matches.
Yeah,
I have to say.
I'm not taking anything away from the No Mercy match, but just rewatching them and here today at the time of this recording,
right?
And I felt the SummerSlam match was just a more solid match from start to finish, and the Brooklyn crowd I felt was a lot better than the Los Angeles crowd. They got, I think, more into the match, so that's why I had to pick SummerSlam over the No Mercy match.
I'm going in my different direction. I'm going to Impact Wrestling, and normally they've had some excellent matches this year. I will state that for the record. If you haven't watched them, you better go back and watch them, especially the one that ended up overtaking a whole lot of my picks. I would have instantly picked either OVE versus LAX from Bound for Glory, or I would have picked the Live Impact when Sanjay Dutt and Low-Ki returned when Low-Ki won the X Division Championship for the 5th time. That would have been instantly in this one. But one match was better. It was, for the first time ever, a married coupled Full Metal Mayhem between Eddie and Alicia Edwards and Davey Richards and Angelina Love. This had all the build, especially when it started when Eddie Edwards lost in his world title rematch to Bobby Lashley, thanks to Davey Richards double-crossing his longtime tag team partner. And what led on from there was nothing but incredible personal feuds. And you have to make it personal with these two because these two were like brothers. These two were right on up there to me with Beer Money and was right on up there with America's Most Wanted when those two teams split. This match delivered at Full Metal Mayhem with the guys and the girls, the husbands and the wives. I've never ever seen a match like this before when there's married couples involved in a ladder match, in a Full Metal Mayhem match. It tore the house down. That's why this made my list as one of my top matches from Impact Wrestling in the year 2017. But enough about a little bit of my pick. You got another pick in that little list, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Let's hear it.
I'm actually going to go to Hell in a Cell, and I never thought I would pick one from Hell in a Cell, but it is probably what would be considered the feud of the year for this year between the New Day and the Usos in their match at Hell in a Cell.
I would agree with that one.
Very physical, violent contest. very innovative with the use of the musical instruments. You had the trombone where he broke the slide over one of the Usos. You had kind of like the gong and hit it first and then hit it over his head. So, I mean, just a very innovative match between the two. Ooh, very good match. This I felt was a stronger match than my other pick between the Shield and the Bar. This definitely deserves to be a match of the year candidate just because of how good it was in the feud between them. Since New Day jumped from Raw to SmackDown, and them and the Usos have just stole the show pretty much the entire year. So, I mean, I had to pick the New Day and Usos.
I'll go along with that pick because that was incredible. That was flat out incredible, and it proved that you don't have to jump off the top of the sail just to produce the fans an excellent match. And that's why this match was way better than Shane and KO's on that same night.
I agree because, I mean, the Shane and Kevin, they just made that match really Hell in a Cell, not because of how bitter the feud was. It's just so Shane could jump off the top of something and being an aerial stuntman. And I'm not taking anything away from Shane McMahon, but I mean...
Almost like a glory hound, so to speak.
But that was my next moment was the New Day and Usos. And like I said, it definitely deserves to be feud of the year from just how good the matches between these two guys have gone on between them.
My next pick, I'm going to Ring of Honor on this one. It would have instantly, I know people at Ring of Honor at ROHWrestling.com saw the polls, and I know for a fact more than likely they will vote that Supercard of Honor match between Hardys and Bucks during WrestleMania weekend. Most people will vote that the match of the year. I went the opposite direction. Even though I did vote that as one of my match of the year candidates, I would have had Ospreay versus Jay White from War of the Worlds as the top match of the year. Wow. But one match was better than that. And the storyline to it was incredible throughout the whole deal. And I'm going to the UK on this one. And this actually aired on Ring of Honor television. Los Ingobernables de Japón.
Let's go, Japan's Ingobernables. Woohoo!
That's right. LIJ versus Bullet Club in a 10-man main event.
I bet that match was just too sweet.
Well, just make sure that North Carolina State doesn't hear that. But anyway, the involvement of Daryl, Hiromu Takahashi's cat. You formerly know this guy as Kamatachi in CMLL in Mexico. The involvement of his cat in Bullet Club hands is the story that literally was the most talked about throughout this whole match. Especially the when Skrull was about to do the chicken wing on the cat and Takahashi super kicked him.
Chicken wing!
But also the fact that the Young Bucks ended up doing a Indie Taker Meltzer driver on a cat, and Cody was like, "I'm not taking responsibility for this," and the fans were literally saying, "Say you're sorry." That was my moment, and the match ended up delivering a lot more than what I thought. Like I said, this match overseeded Ospreay and Jay White because that would have instantly been my match of the year for Ring of Honor. But I have to go this one. Your next pick is...
Okay, this is going to be a fairly recent one. It's going to come from Survivor Series, and it is champion versus champion, AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar. Now, originally going into Survivor Series, we were going to have... Jinder and Brock, which we've debated previously, and I stated why it should happen versus why it shouldn't happen. But I'm so glad that we did get AJ and Brock because, boy, did it deliver.
Yes, it did.
A lot of people were going to be critical going into this match because of AJ's size and just how Brock has been presented. Our beastie as Demon Diva Issa, my friend says, or calls him. But, I mean, it was just a terrific match. It was competitive between the two.
Absolutely.
And who would have thought they would have done that between AJ Styles and Brock Lesnar? But I mean, kudos to Brock Lesnar for selling for AJ Styles because you believed at certain points of that match, AJ Styles might actually beat Brock Lesnar.
I think he survived.
So, I mean, and just, it was a very great competitive match. It's a must watch again. And just how good the match was and like the way it ended. Brock may have won the match, but AJ Styles may have won the war on this one just for the simple fact that Brock was limping away when the match was over, and AJ Styles was pretty much unscathed, it seemed like. So,
but AJ suffered some effects of that too. Even though he really had Brock Lesnar in that calf cutter, AJ Styles really suffered some brutal hits too.
Yeah, and
you can't dismiss that.
Yeah, and that amazing counter out of the calf crusher or whatever calf killer you want to call it. Brock just taking his head and start banging it in the mat.
I mean, it's a simple counter. It's a simple counter.
But I mean, you call it simple, but it was just genius to counter out of it, because how many people have thought to counter AJ's calf crusher by grabbing his head and throw it in the mat?
That's what you call knowing where your opponent is. And Brock Lesnar obviously been watching some tape of guys being caught in that calf cutter, and it's like, okay, I'll wait till he's close to me and then just smash his head. So, I mean, to me, I think, to add on to your point, and I totally agree, I think AJ Styles survived Brock, but I also think Brock survived AJ too.
Yeah, I mean, you could almost look at it with the way he was limping out. Like, he's like, oh, Lord, I almost got beat. So I can definitely agree. But let's start back to you for your next match of the year, or moment of the year.
Oh, we're good. We're getting deep into the field. This one, it does involve AJ Styles, but it doesn't involve the deal that went down in Madison Square Garden, which, bottom line, ended up getting his acclaims as one of the best matches of the year that he had with Kevin Owens. But this one tops them all. This one was the top story from January of 2017 all the way through to the end. No match that whole year even topped what I'm about to say. Especially no match in WWE did not even come close to topping this. Styles, Cena, Royal Rumble. After the classes they've had in 2016, all of them were match of the year candidates, by the way. 2017, to me, was a benchmark year for the Phenomenal One. He started the year as the champion. He ended the year as the champion. Even though John Cena got number 16 that night, and even though AJ Styles recaptured the U.S. title in MSG, to me, this match right here had all the makings. Just to counter what went down at Wrestle Kingdom 11, WWE answered back with a big one at the Alamo Dome. This match stole the show, no question about it. It was classic, just a classic wrestling match. And some people kind of hated on the fact that, oh, we're seeing Styles and Cena and the Young Bucks back in Match of the Year candidacy yet again. Guess what? They're putting on the best matches. Styles and Cena, I'm calling it like it is. Flat out magic. It was magic. It was magic because, and I love how you put it, franchise versus franchise. Impact Wrestling's franchise versus WWE's franchise, all in the Rumble, and the promos that led up to it made the match worth it. That's my next to best.
Okay. Well,
let's hear what you got.
Well, mine, I'm going back to SummerSlam, and we're going to keep the Beastie at number 2, and it is going to be the Fatal 4-Way match for the Universal title. That was, I believe, Samoa Joe, Roman Reigns,
yeah, it was Joe
Brock Lesnar, and Braun Strowman. So, just a very great physical matchup. Obviously, we have to talk about the spot of Braun putting Brock through not only one, but 2 announce tables, and then taking the third one and dumping it on him. Just a very physical, violent match. I don't like that Brock pinned Roman, especially if we're going with Brock Roman at Mania, because that he's already beat Roman, so why would we want to watch that again? So, I hated the outcome, but I mean...
Has he beaten Roman?
Yeah, he pinned Roman at SummerSlam. That's who he beat to retain the title.
Right.
But another reason...
about before that.
Well, I mean, also going into this, the story of Brock Lesnar and the company trying to screw him out of the title because of all the rumors of him going possibly back to MMA and stuff like that. That's what I think. In this case. Yeah, UFC. So, I mean, that story, and then just the Fatal 4-Way, very great physical, violent match from a bunch of big guys. there's no denying this is a definite match of the year candidate. And had it not been for a match maybe earlier in the year, this might have been seen as match of the year. But just with everything that happened in this match, the physicality, competitive nature of it, the story going into it, I had to put this as one of my favorite matches or moments of the year. So I'm going to throw it back to you. What is the last moment or match of the year on your list?
I know we're going to talk about this coming up in a few minutes. But even a match that topped Cena and Styles from Rumble, my top one of all time. This may even go down as one of the greatest of all times. This is not because of the draw. It's not because of all the other aspects. It's because of the fact that the match delivered from the start of the bell to the end of the bell. Most people would say I'm going in the route of Wrestle Kingdom 11, which bottom line stole the complete show. I'm going the other route. I'm going Dominion. Dominion of that year on August 11, on 6/11. Dominion of that year with Omega Okada 2. The storyline is, I don't think it's so much of a rivalry as much as it is more on respect. Omega was already an established megastar. But the fact that, historically speaking, Okada may have been having one of the greatest years of all time. The fact that him and Okada stole the show, even to the point where Omega took that high backdrop through that hard table and almost broke his back and his neck. And the fact that he even came back and competed in Osaka, this one drove it better than Wrestle Kingdom. This had everything to it. Literally, my eyes could not even look on my notepad just for once, just even drop down notes, just because of the fact that you're having a whole lot of emotional aspects to this match. And this match got emotional, no question about it. Even to the point where Cody was trying to come out and try to throw in the towel on Omega. But the Bullet Club, that being majority of the members of Bullet Club, stopped Cody from doing that. And thank goodness that they did. Otherwise, this match would not have won any longer than it did. Ended up in a time limit draw. This match superseded Wrestle Kingdom.
Okay, because I was just going to ask you about that.
We're going to get to that in a moment.
But my number one is WWE's answer to that, and your number two, it is John Cena and AJ Styles from the Royal Rumble.
You can't overlook that.
I mean, Brock and AJ, good match. That Fatal 4-Way, good match. The Usos and New Day, good match. I can't take anything away from those other matches.
Absolutely.
But Styles and Cena from the Rumble were just on another level. I think the false finishes, just the competitive nature, the story going into it. I mean, it was a rematch from 2016. I think SummerSlam.
The three classics from 2016.
Yeah. So, I mean,
and SummerSlam got voted match of the year of 2016.
So, I mean, it was just a continuation. It's just when you put Styles and Cena, it's magic. And I hate giving Cena credit, but he's producing good match after good match now. So, I mean, you can't
and he's
really
elevating talent, too.
You can't really hate on Cena. Yeah, I didn't really like that he beat Styles and became the 16-time champion, but I knew it was coming anyway. But as long as they produce a good match and tell a good story, then I'm okay with that. And, I mean, and there's this, like I said, this match was just on another level, and it made another level of excitement for wrestling fans and just the WWE audience.
Well, let me ask you this question, and I know the numbers show 52,000, a little bit over 52,000 for the Alamo Dome. Had this match been in the main event spot, the closing main event, do you honestly think that it would have succeeded 1997's number of over 67,000?
Well, I mean,
had it just been for that alone.
Well, I don't think when the match took place would have mattered. It's just the fact that the match happened that people came to see it. And if you had put this match as the absolute last match, the Royal Rumble winner wouldn't have seemed as exciting, although I know people didn't like Randy Orton winning the Royal Rumble.
That got backlash all over the planet.
But I mean, and you take that excitement away. If you already have the Royal Rumble, then you do the champion. So, I mean, the Rumble, to me, always needs to close the show because, to me, that's more unpredictable sometimes, and that can be more exciting than a one-on-one match.
More comebacks will happen at the Rumble if the proper hype is done, especially if the unseen factor is done. Do you think so?
Yeah, because I mean, this year's Rumble, my cousin, when we were watching with it, they hated a lot of the entrants because they didn't have a lot of those big surprises per se. They had like James Ellsworth type guys, which they don't really like. I love James Ellsworth; he did a great job. That's why he was employed for so long. So, I have to give it to Styles and Cena just being a great match of the year.
That when you consider that match at the Royal Rumble as what will go down as one of the all-time classics.
Yeah,
I'm talking classic all time.
Yeah, I mean, you have to put it up there with some of the greatest matches of all time. I mean, and I really, to me, I think Taker and Michaels from maybe WrestleMania 25 would beat that. But I mean, you have to rank it as one of the best matches of all time because it was that good.
Well, go ahead.
Well, I'm going to throw it to break unless you want to toss it to break.
Well, all we can say is 2017, I guess you can classify it as pretty much an up and down, almost like a quote-unquote unpredictable year for not just professional wrestling and the WWE, but pretty much overall just in both those categories. When you say? Yeah, I mean, it was a very great year. And I mean, with Styles and Cena, I felt that was an answer to, like you said, the Omega and Okada. And January 4th, that was a good match because it broke Dave Meltzer's scale, which was very controversial. Instead of giving him the traditional 5, he gave it 6. And then you had the match at Dominion, which was 6.5.
Yeah, was an even better match. I mean, wrestling this year has been great, right, on the whole. There have been some valleys in wrestling, but...
Now, question, are we going to talk about the Omega-Okada rivalry like right after the break as far as we're going into 2018 is concerned, or what?
Well, we can talk about it now. So, I mean, we were just talking about...
Let's really go deep into this rivalry because really, I think it's much more of a rivalry of respect. But I think, do you honestly think this is one of the best times for Kenny Omega to be peaking right now? I mean, what are your thoughts? I really want to hear what you have to say concerning this.
2017 was definitely Kenny Omega's year. I mean, he was like Matt Hardy was to 2016. Kenny Omega was to 2017. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Going in, excellent match. January 4th, like I said, breaking Meltzer scale. Going at, again, even longer at Dominion. And then winning the U.S. title, I believe, at the G1.
Yes, he did. He won on the G1 special in Long Beach.
So, I mean, he had an amazing year. So, I mean, and the Dominion match, I think you picked that over the January 4th because it was a longer match. It went to 1 hour.
There was more to it
more of a
than
story.
It was in Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, so definitely that. But what are your guys' favorite moments or matches of the year for 2017? Tweet us.
Info us.
Yeah. Or also leave it in the comments on our shout engine. There's a place where you can place comments. Let us know there. Or on Patreon, which will give you the address at the end of the show.
Absolutely.
But you don't want to go anywhere. You can hear our thoughts for what we think 2018 holds for professional wrestling coming up next.
This is The Godfather, and you're listening to the Power of Pro Wrestling. Oh, yeah, podcast.
And welcome back to this very special year-end edition of the Power of Pro Wrestling podcast. Now, we're going to close our show out with kind of some predictions or what we think the year 2018 will hold for the big 3 companies. We're going to discuss WWE, Impact Wrestling, and Ring of Honor. We might even throw some Lucha Underground in and some Japan and New Japan Pro Wrestling here. So you definitely want to check out what our thoughts are going to be. So let's start with the big dog in the race, WWE. What do you think 2018 holds for WWE in the future?
I think if they can solve their booking problem and take away a lot of their negative booking and a lot of their negative advertising, I think they need to advertise more. I think the more advertisement you have just on the big dogs being television, if you advertise more on television, whether it's pay-per-views or anything like that, I think this could be a banner year for WWE. I think WWE will have more surprises than normal. I think it'll be some of the main roster surprises more than NXT. I think it will be in that direction because at this point for WWE, they're trying to go box office because they know that they have a whole lot of things kind of breathing down their neck in sports. And right now, they have to be back in that positive direction. So I predict an unpredictable and a positive rebound for WWE. I think they're really going to be further along. I think they're really going to be one of the companies that you might want to watch for.
Well, to give my thoughts on WWE, maybe one word that I could use to describe the year of 2018 for WWE is going to be innovative. We already know about the Mixed Match Challenge. I think we're going to possibly see maybe another tournament come out this year, like we had the Mayhem Classic. We had the UK tournament that started off 2017. And Vince McMahon has been selling off a lot of his shares. So that could be interesting to see what he's doing with that. I mean, there's a rumor that he's going to do a football league or something like that. So I think in WWE,
coming back in the XFL,
we're going to see a lot of innovation with WWE. Not only the whole intergender tag tournament, but it being on Facebook and using their platform. So I think we're going to see a lot of innovation from WWE. Maybe some more expansion for WWE. Hopefully they will break into the Indian market more like they planned to last year because that's a lot of people. But I just maybe some more expansion in WWE and get some restructuring right and help with maybe some storylines and booking decisions. But I do see a pretty bright future for WWE. So let's go to kind of Impact Wrestling. What do you see for Impact Wrestling in 2018?
Well, other than the GWN, which is a global wrestling network that launched, and I'm a big fan of it because I love not only watching Impact Wrestling from the current all the way through to Throwback Impact, and now Asylum Years is now available. But I love watching the independent scene, especially around the GWN, and incorporating a whole lot of independent promotions. I said earlier this year that Impact Wrestling were going to win the Independent Wars, and that was for 2017. I said they were going to win the Independent Wars because they're going to be the ones that really, really get those key independent stars and really influence and really blend it in. Yeah, 2017 was an up and down year for Impact Wrestling, no question about it. But I think they rebound in a big way. They've already got the expansion with Pop TV. Now, I think they need to take the next step. I think if Scott D'Amore said, like he said in that press conference, if Impact is really going to get back to quote unquote where it was before, I think they need to go in a much bigger and better route. I think a 2-hour special on CBS, since that's who you're partners with. You're partnered with CBS. If you have a 2-hour special on CBS, I think that's really going to turn everything a complete 180. I think it's going to reverse the company. But I see nothing but big and better things for Impact Wrestling, especially now that Anthem is now rebuilding it from scratch, and you don't have a whole lot of outside interference. Anthem can really bring that company right back up to where it should be. I see a way brighter year for Impact Wrestling 2018.
Well, I mean, my thoughts for 2018, I mean, Impact had a devil of a year in 2017 with all the branding woes. They were Impact Wrestling, and then it was GFW, Impact. It was just the branding and just everything was horrible in 2017.
But TNA is dead.
And so, I mean, with Impact Wrestling, I see 2018 being a year of restructuring for them because I think a lot of key players are going to be gone or leaving the company here in 2018. Gone. So they're going to really need to restructure to get back to where they used to be and the greatness of Impact. Now, they're going to have to start grassroots level like they did kind of in 2002 and take a bunch of no-name talent and make them even bigger stars and kind of build off the backs of them. So it's going to be 2018 for Impact is going to be a year of restructuring, I do feel. I mean, with the Global Wrestling Network, I feel that's probably a move in the right direction for them because we don't get pop where we're at. So, I mean, we really don't have a way to watch.
Especially with the Southern Link sisters. We have to point that out.
Yeah, with our system, we're not able to get pop. So, I mean, we have to watch Impact other way. So, I mean, with the launch of the Global Wrestling Network, I feel that is going to help. And, I mean, if they launch,
Absolutely.
For me personally, I have a Roku. So, if they get the Roku app out, that's going to help me watch Impact because I don't know when's the last time I really have watched an Impact Wrestling episode. So, I'm going to try to start watching.
Other than the broken era of Impact, I should say.
Yeah, so I mean, probably is maybe early last year is maybe the last time I saw an Impact Wrestling episode, to be honest. So I hope to, with the Global Wrestling Network, really see a lot more of Impact and also be able to relive their glory days, kind of like the WWE Network. And they talk about all the historic footage you can go back and watch from WCW and ECW and stuff like that. So I hope with the Global Wrestling Network, they restructure and they can grow. Let's go to Ring of Honor now. And what do you see 2018 holding for Ring of Honor?
You know, as I mentioned earlier concerning Impact, where Anthem is rebuilding Impact from the ground up, that's exactly what Sinclair Broadcasting did for Ring of Honor in 2011. They literally tore away a whole lot of the quote-unquote independent image that Ring of Honor was known for. Sinclair Broadcasting rebuild that company from the ground up and has literally made it the company to watch. Of course, WWE has taken notice of it because some of their talent have come from Ring of Honor.
Yeah, latest examples who were champion last year, Cole, Fish.
Absolutely.
And
Cole
O'Reilly
was champion around this time.
Yeah.
He just regained the title for a third time.
So, I mean, Ring of Honor is being taken notice by WWE. Yeah, definitely.
But I see, everyone's kind of been teasing around the whole 10,000 seat deal. I say, if I'm Sinclair Broadcasting, I say, forget 10,000. Then I say, let that be your starting point. Let that be your starting point, then go up to 20. I say start in the 10,000 seat venue because there are a whole lot of them that ROH goes to. They go to a whole lot of 10,000 seat venues, and they have done that for the last 5 years. They need to pull the trigger. Can they do it with Bullet Club? I say yes. I say part yes. But can they do it alone? Even without the Bullet Club, it will be tough. But I think they need to pull the trigger. 2018 is going to be a better year for Ring of Honor. To me, I think they're getting better year after year after year. And Sinclair Broadcasting and Joe Kopp, but Sinclair Broadcasting in particular, is the driving force. They have started that deal from scratch. And now, and here's my bold prediction. And yeah, I'm going to make a bold prediction right here. I say, not only the Tribune deal goes through, it gets signed, sealed, delivered. I say there are going to be a whole lot of other stations, some people from Next Star Communications, all selling their stations to Sinclair Broadcasting, to Ring of Honor. ROH is taking over the planet. I say better year for Ring of Honor. Okay,
my thoughts on Ring of Honor in 2018 is just that, is I do see expansion for Ring of Honor. They've had a good 2017, and I see them continuing on to have a great 2018, and I see even further expansion, and they will penetrate the market even greater than they already are. More people will be able to watch them on television. I have, like I mentioned, a Roku, so if I miss Ring of Honor and can't DVR it or something, the FIGHT app, so the FIGHT app has it on there. Or, I'm sorry, FITE.
Even though both of them do have it.
Yeah, FITE app has it on there, and I get to watch it for free. On Mondays, or I normally watch it the Tuesday morning after that they put it on FITE. So, I mean, I see growth and expansion for Ring of Honor and continued success.
And I want to add just one quick point, because I kind of noticed this in Tennessee, and I kind of mentioned it a little bit to you off the air about it, and that's something concerning the digital tier channels. This is, to me, ROH being the first ones in there. And I looked at Stadium's lineup and Sinclair's lineup and all the channels that they own. I can now watch ROH without cable television or internet. All I have to do is have one of those little additional antennas screwed onto the back of the television, and bam. If my city gets it, all I have to do is just flick the regular channels. And now ROH is really expanding now because I can watch Ring of Honor on a digital antenna television. That right there is what I'm looking out for.
Okay. So for Lucha Underground, let's lump Lucha Underground and New Japan. How do you kind of see those two companies in 2018?
For Lucha Underground, I say for it to really have a successful 2018, they have to at least hit 100,000 viewers on El Rey every single week. They've been at 10,000. Especially if you're one of the number one programs on that network, you can only go so far with 10,000 viewers. They need to hit 100,000. Even if they've been traveling on the road, and I understand they have to deal with Impact Wrestling, which is one of their partners, because that's how we got Sami Callihan and Johnny Impact anyway.
And hey, Taya Valkyrie.
And Taya Valkyrie, absolutely. They also have to deal with AAA and all the affiliations that AAA has, along with Lucha Underground and new characters. That's my deal. New characters. And follow up on the storyline with Dario Cueto being shot in the office on the last episode of the last season. If they can follow up and go everything in the right direction, I say yes. New Japan, I say if they're going to really, really make some noise towards everybody else, I think the better way to do it is to go to the house that McMahon built and sell that sucker out. That, to me, is what's really going to, I think that's going to start the feud and start the light, and it literally start a fire underneath WWE to where they cannot literally sit back and just take Madison Square Garden too lightly. It's just a house show that everybody on both rosters fight for because that's their big paycheck. New Japan needs to get the building. The best way to do it is to sell out Madison Square Garden. It's going to be extremely tough, but if UFC can do it, if Bellator can do it, especially for pay-per-view buys, I see New Japan, they need to make their next excursion, other than Long Beach and other than California, they need to go Northeast. They need to make a statement. They've got to get MSG and sell it out. What about your thoughts concerning Lucha and New Japan? What do you think about those?
I'll keep it short and sweet. Lucha, I am hopeful they will have another season because I've enjoyed the past 3 seasons.
It's confirmed. They got one.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm hopeful they have new characters, new stories, and it can just continue what they're going and possibly even grow to be even more bigger viewers. New Japan, on the other hand, hopefully they will be able to expand more into the United States and get a bigger United States base, and hopefully they can become real competition for WWE because Lord knows they need it. So that's what I think we'll see for New Japan. Continued success and growth maybe into the U.S. Lucha Underground, maybe just continuation, new characters, and new story.
I'm going to ask you this question quickly. Do you think that New Japan has the right components leading the charge, especially with Okada as the flagship of New Japan and Bullet Club as the leading faction for both New Japan and Ring of Honor?
Well, I mean, having Okada doesn't hurt. Omega and the rest of the Bullet Club, I think they have a lot of factors that would help their expansion. Now, if Jericho stayed there, it could help their expansion as well into North America.
I think so too.
Who knows what will happen with him? He'll probably go back to WWE. But I mean, I do think they do have the right
people to do it.
Yeah, But that's all the time we have for this very special year-end review edition of the Power Pro Wrestling Podcast. As always, thank you for joining me, Cornbread.
As always, thank you. But most importantly, we want to thank each and every one of you out there for listening. Bottom line, we want your involvement. I said it on the last podcast, and I'm going to say it here. We need your involvement. We can't get better unless you get involved, because by your involvement helps us to grow individually.
Okay, well, how can they get involved, Mr. Cornbread? Social media. What's your social media so they can get involved?
Well, if you're talking my personal social media is Chris Heineken1 on Twitter and Facebook.com/TheRealCornbread. The name is Christopher David Heineken. But if you want to talk about this podcast in particular, Shout Engine, iTunes, and Google Play. But that's where they can reach me. That's where they can reach this podcast. Where can they reach you, by the way?
Okay, on Facebook, it's Robert Leroy Jr. On Twitter, where you can vote in the poll, so pay close attention.
Vote in the poll!
Vote in the poll. Who won the argument from earlier in the show? It's at Robert Red Jr. So give me a follow if you're not already following me.
Please follow.
And vote in the poll. Instagram, where I post a lot of pictures of my guests and stuff like that I have going on. Robert Lee Red Jr. or Robert Red Jr. I believe is how it is.
It is.
Then on YouTube, it's youtube.com/user/C Robert Red. You're going to hopefully see some more video content going up on my channel really soon. And then just Shout Engine, shoutengine.com/the Power Pro Wrestling Podcast, where you can leave your comments and stuff like that. iTunes, you can leave us a review. Just search the Power Pro Wrestling Podcast. You can do that on Google Play. But on iTunes, when you hit subscribe, and you can do that on Google Play as well, you'll have a place to leave a review. And if you can leave a review on Google Play, go for it as well. So leave us a review. It'll make the show better. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/PPWP. And you can financially support the show, and you can help us to get better equipment and even more guests. You can help improve the show, where we can offer more stuff to you guys. We have a Streamlabs, streamlabs.com, where you can go and do that. So that's where you can find the show and reach us. But I want to once again thank you for joining me, Cornbread Chris Heineken.
And thank you as well.
Yeah.
This has been excellent, and I cannot wait for 2018.
Yeah, I can't either. But for Cornbread Chris Heineken, this is Robert Rad, and we will catch you next time on the Power of Pro Wrestling Podcast.
See ya!